Hello everyone. Previously, we had discussed on the type hinting and static typing, right? So type hinting and static typing. Today we'll be discussing on the topic data classes. So let's get into the definition part first. So what are data classes? Data classes in Python are the concise way to create classes that mainly store the data, right? So here just in the simple terms, they are the concise way to create the classes that mainly stores the data, right? So here, let's move on with the next point. So it was introduced in Python 3.7, 3.5 and above. We are mainly discussing currently the topics, right? So this was introduced in 3.7. They automatically generate boilerplate code like so. In it, REPR, EQ, these are the things we can. So it generates the boilerplate code like so. Whether maybe in it REPR, so EQ, right? So this one. So let's move on with the example part. So before getting into the example part, let me explain certain things that is required, or let's discuss some important points here. So normally when creating the classes to store the data, we manually define methods like init, REPR, this one, right? So for the initialization part. So we create classes to store data. This one, sorry. Normally creating classes when creating classes to store the data, so we manually define methods like this one, right? So with the data class, with at the rate of data class, whatever I have written with this keyword from the data class module, this comes from the data class module, right? So Python automatically creates these methods based on the declared fields again. So with data class, from the data class module, Python automatically creates these module based on the declared fields, right? It simplifies the code, improves readability, and still allows customization. So we can also control behavior using options like frozen equals true. We can also control behavior using options like frozen equals true. So this makes instances immutable, right? So this makes the instances immutable. Order equals true, right? So this adds the comparison methods and the this one default values basically, right? So just keep this in mind. So we can also control behavior using options like frozen equals true, that makes the instances immutable, and order equals true, that adds comparison methods and the default values, right? So just keep these things in the mind. So let's move on with the example part. So just give me a second here. Let me close this one. Let's move on with the example part here. I'll just go with very simple example, man. So first, let's import the data class from the data classes module. So I'll just give here from data classes. Let me go with import. We need to import data class, right? So this is fine. So now let's define a simple data class with two fields. So first I'll just go with data data class. This is fine. Mm, I'll just go with the class person first. So let me go with two parameters. One is name, which is of the type str, and another one is age, which is of the type int. So this is fine. Now let me do one more thing. Let's define another data class with a default value. So I'll just go with data class again. So let me go with id, which is of the type int, and name. uh so why so this is fine. Name, just give me a second, man. Here, name, yeah, which is of the type string. This is fine. And the final one is this one. I'll just go with a price, which is of the type float. I'll just give here float equals 0 0.0. So this is fine. So the default value, uh, if not provided, right? So default value is 0 if not provided. 0 0.0 I have given here, right? So this is fine. So we have defined a simple data class with two fields. The first one, the person class I'm speaking of, and next we are going with a product class. So I have not mentioned the product class here at all. So that is the reason. Oh, just give me a second, man. What am I doing here? class. So this one has to be product. So this one has to be product. So this is fine. Now this is fine. So that is the reason we were getting the indentation problem. So this is fine. Now let's do one thing. Let's create the instances. Let's create the instances. So I'll just go with p1 equals uh, person. P1 equals person. So let me pass Bharadwaj here. So this is fine. Bharadwaj here 31. This is fine. This is the Bharadwaj. This is the Bharadwaj one basically. This is fine. And let me go with P2 equals person. So this is fine. Mm, this will be Bharadwaj again 26 and 26, right? So this is Bharadwaj 2. So just give me a second here. This is Bharadwaj 2. So this is fine. The third one is P3. This is person. Let me go with person. So let me pass Bharadwaj 3 here. Bharadwaj 3. So let me give some random age here 18. So let me give some random age 18, right? So now let's print the objects. Nothing but let's print the objects means we can just automatically use the REPR, right? So I'll just go with print. So it automatically uses REPR here. So we can just go with just print p1 here in this case, right? So this is fine. Now let's compare the objects. So this one automatically uses the EQ, this one. So basically now this one, what it is doing, print p1, I'm giving this one, it automatically uses REPR. We don't have to manually give REPR here. Now whatever we will do means now we'll be creating the product with and without price. So sorry, now we will be comparing the objects first, right? So this automatically uses the EQ. So I'll just go with print here, print. So this one will be p1 equals p2. So this is fine. The next one is print here. So let me go with p1 equals p3. So we are done with comparing the objects. Basically we the Python automatically uses the EQ, right? So here now let's do one thing. Let's create the product with and without price. Let's see. So I'll just go with a let me go with product once. This one will be product. So let me go with the product here. Let me go with some random number for the ID. So this one, let me go with laptop here. Laptop, this is fine. So let me give the price here 85,000. 85,000. This we have to mention within the float, right? So zero point 0 I'll give. This is fine. So let me go with the prod 2 here. So I'll just go with the same thing. I should have copy pasted, man. So let me do one thing here. Let me copy this line and let me paste it over here and make the necessary changes. So this one will be 2. So again, this will be product itself instead of the ID. So here I'll just go with 2. So we have ID, name and price, right? So name instead of the laptop, I'll just go with a mouse. So I'll just delete this one because if the value is not given, default we have mentioned 0 0.0 here, right? 0 0.0. So this should be automatically taken, right? So the value 0 0.0 should be automatically taken. So we have created the product with and without price successfully. Now let's print the p1 this one, prod 1 and prod 2 respectively, right? So here I'll just go with print. So let me pass prod 1 here and let me go with print. Let me go with prod 2. Let me go with prod 2. So this is fine. So we are done with the coding part. So let's try running the code. So I'll just go with here Python. Let me copy the file name here, paste it over here .py. So here person name equals so we are getting the correct one, right? Person name equals Bharadwaj 1 and this one age 31. We are getting correct output here. This one, this is fine, person p1. So next we have to get the output basically So here we are getting the output false. We are comparing this one, right? Bharadwaj 1 with Bharadwaj 2. These are not same. Let me do one thing. So here, let me consider, mm, yeah, let me give here Bharadwaj 1 itself, man. Right. So now we have to get the output true. So let me clear screen. See, we are not getting this one. The value, let me give 31 itself here. So So yeah, now we are getting the output true basically, right? So the same value on the string. So this one. So when we compare, we are getting the output true. Now we are getting the so for this one we are getting the output false. For this one we are getting the output false because we are comparing P1 with P3. So the string differs as well as the value as well, age basically, right? So this is false. Now we are printing this one, right? The name, sorry, what do we call? Uh, Product basically, product, this one id, name, as well as the price. Id, name, as well as the price, yeah. So here we are getting the id 101 and 102, which is correct. Name, laptop, and this one mouse, which is correct. For this one two products, price, it is showing 85,000. This is also correct. Here, as I have said, if we don't give any value, we have not given any value for the mouse, for the id 102, right? So if we don't give any value, we have mentioned that we need to take the value 0 0.0, right? So here it is showing 0 0.0. This is fine. So we are getting the desired output. We are getting the desired output, right? So this is it for the data classes. So this is how we can make use of the data classes basically. Again, what are data classes? Data classes in Python are concise way to create classes that mainly store the data. Introduced in Python 3.7, they automatically generate boilerplate code like init, REPR, and EQ. So we see here the usage of REPR, right? So here, REPR, print of P1. They automatically create REPR. So init as well, initialization as well, and the third one is EQ as well, right? So EQ as well. So this one basically, right? So this is fine. This one, sorry, this one basically. This is fine. Now we are done with the data classes part, right? So we are done with the data classes part. Next, let me do one thing. Yeah, let's summarize. Let me summarize whatever we have learned so far, and then we can move into the next topic, right? So data classes reduces boilerplate when defining data holding classes. This we know. It auto generates init, REPR, EQ, and optionally ordering methods. This is also fine. And it supports defaults, type hunts, immutability, nothing but frozen equals true. Somewhere we have made use of the frozen equals true. We didn't we? So just give me a second. Oh, in the previous example I made use of, I think. So here we haven't. So it also supports the defaults, type and immutability, nothing but we can just go with the frozen equals true. And frozen equals true, when we give frozen equals true, it gives the immutability. So right, so we cannot change, right? Change the value basically when we are going with the immutability. And ordering as well. So order, we can just give true, order equals true, right? So that also it supports, and it improves the code clarity and development speed. Just keep this in mind. So this is how we can make use of the data classes, right? So this is a huge advantage, right? So this is a huge advantage. We can just go with the data classes rather than going with manually this one init, REPR, and EQ. So we can just go with the data classes. This is one of the huge advantages, right? So this is fine. Now we are done with the data classes, right? So we are done with the data classes topic. So next we'll be discussing on the introspection and reflection. What we'll be discussing on next? So we'll be discussing on the topic introspection and reflection. For now, this is it. Thanks for watching, guys.